Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I think we all need to pull up a chair and have a very serious conversation about the mega bombshell that we have introduced in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 4, which is not only do we have new villains being introduced, but one of them is the worst possible nightmare for Konoha, which is we now have evil Sasuke. Now, if this is giving you Dragon Ball Super vibes where you had Goku Black, the evil version of Goku, let me assure you, this isn't quite the same thing, but there is something similar in the sense that we now have an evil version of Sasuke Uchiha. And in today's video, I wanted to discuss the major ramifications that come directly as a result of this reveal and why it may or may not be a good thing for the story if this is executed properly. The reason why this was even made possible is given to us in the manga chapter itself. Those who get bitten by the Ten-Tails claw grimes don't just see themselves trapped inside of a tree, completely immobilized and knocked unconscious, but they also find themselves in the unenviable position where their chakra and their genetic makeup appears to have been transferred over to the Ten-Tails claw grimes, which results in them taking on the appearance of those who have been bitten. One of the claw grimes looks like Bug, the Car Outer, who was previously serving Code. Another looks like Moegi, who appears to have been bitten off screen because his claw grime looks just like her. Then we have the one who looks like Sasuke Uchiha. These Ten-Tails soldiers don't just look like the people they've bitten, they literally take on their powers and their fighting style. We see this first with the one who looks like Moegi, who uses the same Earth Release jutsu to restrain Boruto that Moegi used in Boruto Naruto Next Generations when she restrained Amato after Amato placed that fake bomb around Shikadai's neck when he first came into Konoha asking to be brought in and put under Konoha's protection. The one who looks like Sasuke is not only shown using Chidori, but the way he used the claw marks to teleport to Boruto's location and attack from the blind side, transforming his arm into a blade, is something right out of Sasuke's playbook. From the decision to use Chidori to the way that he teleported, and because he didn't have a sword, he just transformed his arm into a sword with the intention to cut down Boruto from the blind side. Just based off of Boruto's reaction, we can see that this is part of what had Boruto spooked. These are familiar faces that he's fighting against in the case of Sasuke and Moegi. While we don't know what it means for certain with people who are trapped inside of these trees, we do know these things are strong enough that Boruto found himself looking to Code for help for dealing with them, showing that he views these Ten-Tails humanoid beings as being at a bare minimum a Jigen level threat. And given how Boruto was shown in his base straining against the one that looked like Bug, they might be significantly stronger than Jigen depending on the extra evidence that we get based on surrounding these claw grimes in the future chapters as we see them in battle more. This one that looks like Sasuke, this one's clearly a cut above all the rest of them. Whereas Code got one-shotted by the Rasengan Uzehiko, this one was able to casually make a Chidori that directly countered the force of the Rasengan Uzehiko, despite it being stated strong enough that it shakes the entire planet. It also got the Rinnegan, which is a really big deal that we have to start taking into account, because here's the thing, while it's not Sasuke's Rinnegan that has a Sharingan Tomo on it, it is still a creature who has two Rinnegan, which means at a bare minimum he's getting the power amp that you get with the Rinnegan, as well as we have to assume that this creature can use all the basic Rinnegan jutsu that every Rinnegan user gets access to when they gain the Rinnegan. That means the animal path summons, the human path ability rip out souls, the Naraka path using King of Hell to kill people, the Deva path using push and pull, the Asha path weapons ability, and the Praetor path ability to absorb chakra. We likely don't see these abilities being used in the chapter because, as the one that looks like Jigen stated, they had just awoken and they allowed their curiosity to get the better of them. That's gonna make for a very dangerous set of combos for this evil Sasuke, on top of having access to Sasuke's other jutsu like the Chidori, which likely means we're going to see all the different variations of the Chidori that Sasuke had actually being unleashed. From a narrative perspective, I think this does work for a couple big reasons. The first is something that Shikamaru Shinden Morning Clouds, that story actually touches on, which is that there was a concern by some in the Naruto world that Naruto and Sasuke being so much more powerful than the other Kages combined and the other countries combined was a bigger problem than people wanted to acknowledge. They basically replaced Madara and Obito, the two people who by themselves are stronger than the collective of the Shinobi Alliance. While Naruto and Sasuke would never use that power to harm people, there was a worry by some that if things ever broke down and the peace treaty ever got broken because, say, a feudal lord goes rogue and says we're pulling out of this and the Kage have to follow behind their feudal lord, Naruto and Sasuke weren't the type of enemies that you wanted because both of those people could destroy the entire continent without even using their full power. Naruto and Sasuke were just so powerful, it didn't matter what kind of strategy you came up with because there are just some gaps in power that are too large for any strategy or hacks to actually overcome. With this Ten Tails version of Sasuke, we now have that fear being realized, and due to the resemblance of Sasuke and the fact that there are some people who don't know what's going on here, not until Ada uses her Sharingan, fills in Shikamaru, and Shikamaru passes on the word, there could be an initial mistaking of this being Sasuke Uchiha acting in the way that the people who didn't agree with Kakashi pardoning Sasuke feared, especially now that the world thinks that Naruto, the 7th Hokage, is dead. The other thing that this does is that by having one of those Ten Tails look like Sasuke, it allows us to start setting the stage for members of the next generation to be positioned in a way, the same way that Naruto's generation were positioned during the 4th Ninja War. Members of that generation were forced to fight against Edo Tensei, of some of the most powerful and intelligent and dangerous beings who have ever existed as shinobi in the ninja world. It was a way for readers of the manga and viewers of the anime to start using a measuring stick to see how clearly how each of these characters have grown over the span of the 18 months it took place between Naruto Volume 28 and the entirety of the Naruto War. With this evil Sasuke, we now have a benchmark for members of Boruto's generation to eventually cross, particularly someone like Sarada, who you have to imagine is going to at some point see this version of Sasuke and be forced to battle against it, likely alongside Boruto due to the connection that both of these characters have with Sasuke. Depending on what the other people who are bidden into the Ten Tails are, this could be the actual balance that we see between showing some of the older generation, the new generation interact, albeit it wouldn't be in the way that we as fans want it, but this would be a clear subverting of our expectations, for better or for worse. It's going to come down to how it's executed. Now, personally, while I can see the benefits to having these Ten Tails humanoids take on the appearance and powers of those who they bidden, this doesn't work for me. I'm not a fan of this. I'm going to be very clear. I know I'm going to be in the minority. I do not like this, but it's only because I've never been a fan of the concept of Edo Tensei. I understand all the deeper meanings of Edo Tensei. I can talk to you all day about all the Buddhism stuff that goes into Edo Tensei. Edo Tensei is a major part of the reason why I personally don't like the Naruto War, even though ironically some of my favorite moments in the series are directly because of characters who are brought back as Edo Tensei. I don't think I'm alone here in the sense that I'm one of the people that don't like Edo Tensei and don't like what we're seeing here. I think that there's a sizable minority, but at the end of the day, that is still a minority. I think if we take a poll of all the people who either love this idea of the Ten Tails soldiers looking like people that have been bidden, and you ask these people if they love this idea, and you ask them after that, did they enjoy the concept of Edo Tensei and the way it was executed? Those are going to be the people that likely say that, hey, I did like it. And the ones who don't like what we're seeing now, they're going to be in my camp. They didn't like Edo Tensei. I think that this was likely your best option to go about it, because it does give some risk while also keeping the other characters alive and safe. It also plays around with the method of cloning, so it's advancing the whole science aspect that we've seen in this Boruto era, because unlike with Mitsuki and Kashin Koji and Delta, where they're clones of Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and Amato's daughter Akabe, respectively, this is basically cloning and evolution into something different altogether. It's taking it another step forward. I'm personally trying to keep an open mind on this, because I know from reading the comment section, a lot of you guys are eating up this latest plot twist that the Boruto manga gave us, with these Ten Tails humanoids having the appearance and the jutsu of the people that they've eaten. I'm not fully on board with this right now, which is not to say I won't ever be on board with it, but as of right now, this whole plot twist that we got in Boruto's manga with these humanoids looking like people like Sasuke and Moegi is kind of like Cody Rhodes in WWE for me. I can see why people enjoy it, but personally, I'm checked out on the whole thing, and I could honestly do without it. But I'm trying to keep my mind open out of my love for the Naruto franchise, the same way I'm trying to keep an open mind for Homelander, I mean Cody Rhodes, out of my love for the WWE. That being said, I am curious to know how you guys feel about this evil Sasuke and the other evil shinobi we see as a byproduct of these 10 tails? While you think that over, click here to watch this video you see on the screen right now.